Why don't we start and we'll go near to far. Brendan, you're closest here. Tell me about a year as a hockey player where you developed immensely, and maybe what happened to you, what you remember about it, or if there was a year where you made great strides more than others.
I think most recently my first year pro with Travis Green. For me, playing for him, he was a coach that got a lot out of you, and he did it in a way, it was different for each player, and he knew with me that he could push me a little harder vocally than some other players. So for me to have a coach like him and then have my assistants, I think he could see from not just the on-ice part, but the off-ice in the first year pro, and him obviously playing over 900 games in the NHL. He definitely helped me a lot, and I think in the past couple of years, that was my biggest transition.
How big is the transition when you go from being billeted and playing in a team where there's a lot of structure and all of a sudden being a pro where you're on your own? All of a sudden you have to start doing a lot of off-ice adjustments. I mean, the level of hockey is one thing, but your life existence all away from the rink is very different, isn't it?
For me, I think just everything from having to find a place at the start of the year, that stress, and then having every week to kind of keep it up and do rent, and just to have and going home and not having someone to talk to after a game if you don't play well. And our coaching staff is a very good communication system there in Utica, and for me that was probably the toughest part, was the off ice if you weren't playing well and you didn't really know what you're doing wrong, and it's not as much communication through how well you're playing. It's kind of, you have to figure that out yourself, but I think the hardest part was definitely the mental aspect. Natalie,
what about you? Is there a year that stands out where things jumped for you in your hockey career?
I think for me it would have to be 2013, leading up to the Olympics. We all centralized, so we all moved to Calgary and train as a team and play against midget AAA boys. So it was already a pretty tough year for our team. They were drilling us into the ground. Half the time, a lot of people were hurt. We had a coach named Dan Church at the time, and 2 months before the Olympics, he actually stepped down, and we ended up getting a guy named Kevin Deneenan, who had been let off from the Florida Panthers. And our team was at rock bottom at that point, so I think kind of a little change in our team was the best thing that could have happened. And Kevin came in, and he didn't really switch much, but he gave us the confidence that, we could do this. And we didn't win a game, I think, for like a good month with Kevin. We won a game like a week before going to the Olympics in Austria against a boys team, and that was our first win with Kevin. But he made each player on the team feel special, and that you had a part. I remember when he first came in, I was a fourth-line player. I didn't even know if I was going to make the team. I was told I was on the bubble. And the first game, he hardly played me. And I remember sitting on the bench, and I was like, man, this sucks. And sometimes, you sit there, and coaches don't really say anything. Well, Kevin came up. I remember he patted me on the shoulder and said, you know what, Spooner, stay with it. We'll get you out there. And it kind of just gave me that little, glimmer of hope, you know what, maybe I can do something this game, So I think that was huge. And obviously the lineup kind of ended up getting shifted up, but that was kind of a huge jump for me, just to give me confidence that, maybe he did see something in me, and that I could possibly make the team.
I mean, it's so funny in your sport because there's attention on it, but the attention in Olympic year is through the roof, and then you have the head coach resign, heading right into the Olympics. At what point did you say, this guy in Kevin Deneen is going to be able to get us over the hump? When did you believe? Because there's a bit of time where it's like, who's the new guy, right?
Yeah, obviously you don't really know what to expect. There was about a week and a half we didn't even have a coach. It was just our assistant coaches. But I think just the poise and the confidence he had, it gave us confidence. Obviously when a coach is behind the bench and I think they're kind of uncertain or unsure, it kind of makes us a little nervous, but he came in and he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and that gave us confidence. I think the other thing that what he was great at was realizing who was playing well that game, and if you weren't playing well, you weren't going to play, and if you were, then you were going to get more ice time. And I think a lot of coaches, at least on the women's side, sometimes the vets are going to play. They've been playing on this team forever, so let's play them. And I think he was really good at realizing that maybe some of these younger kids are playing well this game, and let's give them a chance.
Mike, you probably had the most coaches in your career. I wonder if one stands out, if there's a particular message given to you early in your career that you go back to a lot.
Well, for me, the two that stand out in my mind, and also one who's in the back here that's leaving, Troy Smith. Hello, Troy. Troy. So we had Pete DeBoer and Steve Spott when I was in Kitchener, and their influence on me was huge. I came in there as a young kid, maybe a little angry, maybe a little aggressive, and with their video, their attention to detail in practice, and all the little things that they taught me, I think that was the biggest thing for me.